What's up guys, it's Drac, and this is a surprise video in an obviously unusual location. I'm here in sunny San Diego, California, with all of its delightful traffic and In-N-Out cheeseburgers, and I'm excited to show you a new product from a friend of mine in the toy industry. I'm so excited to show you that product that I had to come to his headquarters. So in true Mark fashion, he put his name on the building. Let's go inside, let's take a look at this stuff. I cannot get inside. Mark, let me in. All right, so we're inside. I can't believe they let me inside, but this is Mark Rappaport of Marky Sparky Toys. Good to see you again.
Good to see you, Drac.
And this is your wall of fame, so to speak.
Some of it, yes.
Yeah. Well, with such an illustrious and long career, it's hard to pick 40 things to be excited about.
This is my favorite.
Okay. And explain it to me, I guess, real quick.
It's an animail.
Got you.
You write on it, stamp it, and mail it. That's the worst one.
Don't touch that one.
The cat's awful.
All right, but the dog is great.
Yeah, you can look at him.
All right, so you put it, and the United States Post Office, they will ship this.
Yes, non-machinable mail, I think it's called.
I almost don't believe it.
I wouldn't.
How many stamps do you have to put on a dog?
$2.75.
A little more than a postcard.
Actually,
then.
now it's about $3.15. I think it went up.
Wow.
Anyway.
Very, very cool. So you are somewhat of a legend in the foam flinging world, given your origin stories. No, it's true. It's true. So if we go down to this end of cruise on over here. This is your product. You invented this.
Yes.
That's
the original right there.
Yeah, there's the original Nerf bow and arrow from Parker Brothers.
Before it looked like that, and it had another one like that.
Yeah, it's
the drive system is a crumply old, crusted up rubber band.
Well,
which doesn't work anymore.
I was going to say the rubber band didn't last quite as well as the.
It's a little bit better than a string. Better than a spring, not a string.
Sure.
So you can show how much I know.
You've used all of them, all the propulsion systems.
Yeah. So it pulls the piston. So pulling is somewhat different than pushing. So
right, exactly.
Anyway, but rubber bands.
So when was that? When the bow and arrow launched?
That was I think it launched in '92, and it was done obviously in '91.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Very, very cool. And then you moved on, and you did a lot of other kind of dart shooters. You call them?
We call them shooty things.
Of course.
That was the category because we were licensing it to different companies. So you didn't want to call them that.
So my audience will definitely recognize this. You've got Mad Hornets. You can pull it. Over here.
I don't know if there's anything inside of those.
No, this is a real Mad Hornet, new in box.
Yeah, that was the first time anybody used compressed air to shoot a dart.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. So you had a stored energy tank in the back, and then it would little puffs of air to do that. And then I guess one of my favorite things that you're responsible for is anytime anything whistles through the air.
Yeah, actually, that was this one right here. That was the Turbo Screamer.
Gotcha.
And it was ping pong balls.
There you go. It still whistles.
And it's great whistling, but when you catch it, it's like a cheese slicer.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Well,
and then that turned into this, which is more soft.
Right.
And not quite as good.
Sure. Well, this is a ton of your old stuff. It's really cool to see kind of the legacy of it. But if we come back to the original, the bow and arrow, that's kind of what I want to talk to you about today. Okay. All right. All right, so while they'll slay cups, this is kind of where we started off, and you said 91, 92-ish.
Yep, 1992.
And then at some point you decided that the product needed to be reintroduced, reimagined with strictly better projectiles. So which one of these is first, I guess?
The one you have in your hand.
Excellent. So I guess explain the tube to me.
Well, Nerf had foam arrows.
Right.
And they tore, they ripped up, and these are indestructible arrows.
Sure.
And so no matter how you bend them,
roll them back out.
Yeah, put them on.
Put them back on.
And then shoot them.
And it just extends the play cycle of the projectile dramatically.
Well, it doesn't because they shoot farther and they end up on the roof.
Well,
and then you got to buy new ones.
The ones that don't wind up on the roof will shoot indefinitely.
Correct.
And so for the last few years, you've been iterating on the fobo kind of concept. You've got this one into this one, and then recently, I think you released this guy. This guy's available on Amazon.
Yep.
And as you've done that, the grip has improved. You know, a lot of the pneumatics inside have improved. The arrows have stayed largely the same. But the part that really drew me into your product as a whole was these.
Yeah.
Which is, you know, the same arrow technology extended to more of an adult draw length and allowing you to shoot much, much further.
Mm-hmm.
So what pushed you from, I guess, toy platform into more of a sporting, real archery feel, kind of?
Well, it started out, these are puff of air.
Right.
That's how we describe them, shooty things with puff of air. And one day we were hanging out outside the house, outside the office actually, and we were messing around with a PVC pipe. And
gosh, we've never done anything with PVC pipes before.
We actually have one. This was the original.
Oh, please tell me. This is an old school PVC bow.
This was the original.
Sure.
This is the one we used outside.
I mean, what kid hasn't taken a heat gun to a chunk of Schedule 80 and...
Yep. And so what we did was we had these because these were blast pad arrows. They were much longer, but they
those
launched
are the
like
ones
rockets.
You were like stomp rocketing.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then I put in a foam back end. I
Sure.
needed something to push it.
Right.
And then we just ended up shooting it. And it was like, oh my God, we were outside. And then it was like
the eureka moment. You're like, hey,
absolutely, that was
this
it.
could be pretty cool. So
that was it.
You iterated that, and it's almost become a joke, a meme in my hobby space, and certainly in my comment section about how there's like, it's the fobo, the fobo 2, the fobo pro, the fobo pro, yo, real fobo.
Yes.
Whoa, bro, don't fobo.
We have looked at your comments and had a good laugh. Yes.
Me too. So there's multiple iterations, and it's such a pleasure to be in your workshop, getting to kind of meet the team that you have here, bringing all this to life.
Oh, this was the original. See, it had a little foam end to it.
Oh yeah,
that's just a piece of
look like craft foam almost.
It's EVA.
Yeah,
and so that thing shot incredibly well.
So we start looking at things like this.
Yep.
From your prototyping bin here.
Yeah, so that's this is how we started lefty righty before.
Right.
You got the lefty righty.
I thought it was for a legless moment where you were going to do two at once.
No, that'd be cool. But then we ended up doing lefty righty this way and this way.
Right. Omnidirectional.
Yeah, we didn't know how cool that was until people started asking me, how'd you come up with that?
And so I don't need to go through, I guess, all of your corporate secrets here, but a good piece of background is that I've had the pleasure of showcasing with you at the ATA. I've seen you at Toy Fair, and I've watched you try hundreds of different fletching combinations for your arrows.
Yeah.
And it always seems to come back to like, okay, we'll mess with the fletching, we'll mess with the knock, we'll mess with the tip in some sort of form or fashion to achieve, I guess, a greater, symmetry with real archery to kind of give that experience in a safe and fun and repeatable fashion, of course. But the one thing that's always remained consistent is the tubes.
Yep.
And I know that you have a patent on the tubes.
Yep. Well, it's a patent on the arrow.
Right.
That uses a tube.
And it's just a terrific projectile. Its resilience is great, but I love that this is the longest range thing that I get to totally not shoot humans or animals with.
That is a rule.
Silently from across the field. It's crazy how those totally inanimate targets will lose track of me when I'm 300, 200 feet away with something like this.
It's got a range of a football field. It's insanely cool because it's super lightweight.
Yeah, it's an unbelievable projectile, and you've kind of taken it to this new level, which brings us to, you have a Kickstarter going on right now.
Yes, sir.
All right, so while you are fully funded, you have stretch goals in the works. I guess explain the Kickstarter to me. What makes it special outside of, I guess, your normal retail channel of product?
So our normal retail product is a toy.
Right.
And we kept shooting this, and it just kept going faster and faster and faster.
You eventually pushed the envelope.
Yeah, we moved it out of the toy area, which I didn't want to take all the performance away.
Sure.
So we said, okay, if we're not going to take the performance away, let's add performance to it.
Right. Once you'd gotten out of the category, you were like, all right, well, if we're out of this one, we got to go all in.
So we did that. We took the 20 millimeter arrow,
right,
and we went to a 15 millimeter arrow, which more aerodynamic, lighter, more arrow-like, and we put a knock on it, real fletchings, and we created basically the ultimate projectile.
Right.
And in actuality, an arrow.
Yeah, no longer a kind of a metaphor for an arrow.
No,
or
that's it.
Or a cartoonized version, so to speak, but an actual arrow with fletching and a tip.
It's full length draw for me. You are going to be an inch or two shorter.
Sure.
So, but if you short draw it a little, you'll have, you know, an incredible archery experience. But this is a sporting good. This is it's just not a toy anymore. So we said, okay, if we're going to do that, let's do a Kickstarter, and it gave us the launching pad to do that, to tool up the limbs and the whole thing.
So the technology behind kind of the riser here is we have a real recurve bow.
Yep.
We're shipping it, obviously compacted. You get the riser, you get the limbs, you assemble it, you string it yourself, and then it comes with 3 arrows, or there's
it's a great question. Arrows. You got to review the Kickstarter because there's all these levels. There's
100 different ways to do it. I know that you still have some early bird backer stuff available, but let's take this outside.
Early bird backers are done. We got the thumbs down from the crowd.
Well, I'm so
Nobody's
sorry
more early
about your success.
Now you have to pay a lot less than retail.
I would just say it's still a significant discount over the full launch of the product.
It's cool because it's lefty and it's righty. You just flip it over, so you only need one. And since I'm left-handed,
happen to be ambidextrous.
I'm left-handed, so
there was a lot of bias there in the it has to be ambi for sure.
Yeah.
What's it like being a left-handed toy designer?
Better. I'm better than everybody else. You just have to say that.
It's,
just go with that.
Excellent. Well, let's take it outside. Let's shoot some targets. You've got a litany of different targets at our disposal here, but a ton of cool stuff that we can do as we test out kind of the prototypes. Now, these are not full production samples, right?
No, we have what we call frankenbow. It's a longer limbed bow.
Right.
It's going to get tossed in from this is frankenbow. And what we're doing is, this is our semi-production.
Sure.
We're redoing the limbs to be full size, and so we're gonna go with a limb this length, and we frankened it together with a couple other things. So
I think that my audience would be really curious about the process of the production and getting to see all of the iterative prototyping and what have you. And it's actually very refreshing that I come in here looking at a product that you're launching on Kickstarter, and as opposed to a lot of people who use Kickstarter as like a marketing platform to get the product out there, you've done all of the legwork of being a real company using a crowdform platform and doing your prototyping. But you're truly not there, and you're taking advantage of the crowdfunding platform to get you over that hump and to find out what the audience for this product is and the appetite.
Well, it's interesting because we're getting information. They're asking for certain things that maybe we didn't think of. And so that's helping us frame the project.
Yeah, there's still time in production, clearly, to refine frankenbow into the best fobo pro it can possibly be.
Just flat out, this is so fun to shoot. It is just a blast. And until you actually touch it and let an arrow fly downrange, there's just this holy beep moment that's just unbelievable.
It is something that if you've never shot traditional archery before, it's something that you have to do, you have to experience, and you can choose your bowed protagonist of choice, but it really does give you that kind of excitement and energy into your play pattern. There's something very satisfying on my end about taking people who have full auto rapid strike builds and FDLs and what have you,
and taking them out at 300 feet.
Oh my gosh! And they're just like, you've completely outranged them. They have no concept of this silent thing that just floated into them, and they're like, oh, I guess I'm out.
Yeah, it does come from on high.
Let's take it outside and check out some of your cool targets, a lot of which you made yourself. All right, so I'm here with Eric, the senior product designer at Marky Sparky Toys, a position that you wrestled in hand-to-hand combat from Mark Rappaport himself.
That's right. It was bloody, but we got there.
You got there.
Yeah,
excellent.
Yeah.
I'm thrilled for your success. So you are the head innovator when it comes to bringing the fobo pro to life, and you kind of know a lot about its origin story. Obviously, it doesn't come straight from the toy version, it has to go through some sort of riser ecosystem to its part today. So like, what was the greatest challenge, I guess, in that process? And then what are the little things that we might not notice at first glance that you, as someone who stared at it for 80 hours, is like very in tune with?
Yeah, for sure. So we had a couple projects on the table, one being our toy fobo protege, and then one being the fobo pro.
So that's this guy.
And that would be the protege. As far as form goes, when I was working on this riser and system, it was with the intention of being the protege.
Right.
And so it started off a lot smaller, but we got to the point where we realized the styling was a little too cool for the youngins. So we had a kind of, I wouldn't say last minute, but a very pressed time where we scaled up and got it beefier and got it up to a 20-pound pole.
So this is a
pro.
This is a 10-pound.
That's a 10-pound.
And it's you know, it is a stretch goal on your Kickstarter.
That's
it's
right,
it's something along the lines of, it's got a very Sylvan vibe to it with the wood feel and what have you, but also like it's a cuter, kind of younger, shorter, smaller take on the recurve. It is still a functional recurve bow, and you feel like this sort of was exciting enough that it launched you into this pathway where you're like, okay, we have to make a real bow.
Oh yeah, for sure. And we kind of dialed in this kind of technical styling and bumped up the power and got it to where it is today.
Excellent. So what are you most proud of on it?
I took a lot of care into the little micro moments and touch points. As the form kind of found itself, it created these little breaks where we put texture breaks, and even the strengthening little ridges in there, we have alternating textures.
Sure.
Just so you can kind of...
I mean, the grip does feel really good. Like, as somebody who has handled a lot of recurve bows, aside from being carved out of wood itself, mated to its user, this is pretty tight.
Yeah, we were really just hoping that people could take time to appreciate all the little subtle details and have a really neat experience.
And then your knock system here is, you've got the knock on the string, and then you've got the rest for the arrow here, which...
And with the arrow rest, we have it so that you can click in the arrow.
Right.
And so when you're running around, it'll stay knocked here, but it's not going to fall off that shelf. And it'll stay trapped, so you can always be ready to draw it.
Plus, like, any tactile feedback makes it easier to keep your eyes on your totally inanimate object opponent downrange while you're getting ready to line up that next shot.
Yeah, and had a lot of fun with this little quiver clip here. It stays attached. It's easy to put the arrows in. They stay secure. But also, if you're not into
I was going to say,
it,
and it's optional, so if you have a different way, it just hangs out.
And did want to kind of have that styling just look kind of cool if you choose not to use it.
It's got a very sci-fi, greebly kind of look when it's off, which is pretty cool as well. Well, thank you for sharing your insight on the project. I'm going to take it outside and shoot some stuff.
Awesome.
All right, so we've already taken a look at Mark's incredibly cool device invention thing. This is a little simpler. And I am here to embarrass myself with frankenbow and some arrows, trying to take down some of these floaty targets here. And I can't tell if I hit it or if I hit the back strap enough. But this is a really cool showcasing of the accuracy of the fobo when I actually hit things. And I guess it kind of shows you how easy it is to pluck shoot the bow if you don't want to take it to full draw. Now, my favorite thing about this is definitely the overall range and the performance over that range. So once I'm done missing these ping pong balls, we'll take it over to the warehouse and we'll show you guys just how far this shoots. I got it on the back. That's pretty good.
Weak sauce.
All right, so we're over here in the Marky Sparky warehouse, and we figured this was a pretty good example of range over distance, shooting over thousands of phobos. All right, so you hit the other end.
I did, but that arrow is gone. Yeah,
It's like the yellow pole right there, and then it'll.
I'm just trying to reduce some of this inventory from new to lightly used conditions. See, I'm gonna Pick it up at a discount.
There it is.
I hit the pole. It's like aim for the pole, but then lightly miss the pole so that you hit the other end of the building.
You're doing a good job at hitting the,
You see me bet the bullet on that one?
Yes, I did. That was a nice shot.
There we go. End-to-end shots, well over 200 feet. Pretty nuts. So pretty quick trip. I'm back in my workshop now. It was very exciting to fly out, check out Marky Sparky Toys headquarters, check out their warehouse, check out how they make stuff, how they develop new stuff, etc. and so forth. And more than anything, like, I've known Mark for a while. He is a very important mentor in the toy industry and an honest to goodness like legend who's still working in the blaster space, kind of projectile toy space. I mean, the guy has done it all. And I really think that the fobo line in general is cool. I've loved it for a long time, and I'm very excited that I got the opportunity to go interview him, talk about the process, bring it to you, kind of share with you the story of how some of these toys get made. Now, all companies make toys differently, but I really like the down-to-earth small team approach that Mark uses. It's very similar to how my company works, and in a lot of ways, I've modeled certain things from him. So I have a ton of respect for what he's doing. I've been on Kickstarter before. I know exactly how exciting Kickstarter can be. I know that he's got some really amazing stretch goals. And this end segment is just to say, A, I'm safe back in my workshop. California did not kidnap me. And B, that you guys should check it out. The link is in the description box down below. At this point, the super early bird stuff has sold out. Now, I made a post on my community tab, so if you're subscribed and belled and all that good stuff, then you would have seen that one and been able to get it on the super early bird pricing, but it's still well below retail on the Kickstarter. And I think that it is a really, really cool product. If you haven't seen some of my footage of me totally using it to be a wild card in various nerfing events, it definitely has a place as a special ammo type in our hobby in the hands of mature foam flingers. I would like to see it in like a competitive, almost like 5v5 tag situation. I've seen people playing with paintball masks and goggles and stuff like that. I think they call it archery tag, but they're using LARP arrows, and LARP arrows both fly slower and they're not as accurate as the fobo stuff. So I really like the idea of doing something competitive with it in that fashion somewhere down the line. And the success of this Kickstarter is the kind of thing that would make a collaboration or an endeavor like that possible in the first place. So check it out, take a look. Link is in the description box down below. Lots of stretch goals. The pricing is better on Kickstarter than it's ever going to be at retail. And if you've never had the pleasure of firing a fobo, it's like no other blaster that I ever get to play with. And I really do think that it's just that cool. So thank you guys so much for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed this kind of behind the scenes trip into product demo, into promotion. But this was a really fun one to make. Thanks.